All right, so we've made it out to North Charleston. We're visiting here with my good friend Paul Philo. I've been purchasing seafood from Paul for many, many years. We're out at Lowcountry Shellfish. Paul is one of the lead guys who does all the purchasing out here. He's the head fishmonger in my eyes. I've been dealing with you. Paul, you've been a great friend. Good to see you today. How you doing?
Fine, Mark. Great seeing you again.
You too. Paul, so we're out here. We want to kind of tell everybody about what you do here and how you bring the quality products that you brought me for years to our tables.
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, it's been a process. I don't come from a family of fishermen. I had to learn this the hard way. Chefs had to teach me.
Right, well, and you taught us as well. So
that's right. The guys, over the years, I came to realize when we first started that we had to go out and actually find the fish. It didn't come to us.
Right.
So we had to run the streets and make the relationships with the boats and the docks. And you know, it was challenging, and since I wasn't a Southern boy too, I had to learn the Southern ways.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been in business, and when did you guys actually start up here, and how many relationships do you still have with the people that you met when you first opened up?
Oh, well, we started in 1988, and we were actually in another city nearby. We moved to this facility in 1992. And we've been here ever since. The relationships, Mark, that I've had, most of them are still around.
That's awesome.
Sometimes I work with the sons of the guys that I first opened up the relationship with. But
so when you're talking Southern heritage, it's really there. The fisheries, the fishermen, the people who gather the oysters, the shrimpers,
it does get passed on from generation to generation, and hopefully it'll keep going like that. It's you know, it's an industry that's challenged from all the outside competition,
right.
And the competition is all the other jobs that people could have. So,
right.
To be a fisherman is tough work.
Yeah.
And
well, do you think you could take us in and kind of give us a rundown on what you guys do here on Daily? That'd be awesome.
I sure can. I'm going to present that to you.
I'll have to wear that in there.
There you go. Right? Yeah, we have HACCP rules and all that.
That's right. All right.
Besides, you look good in blue.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, wow.
There we go.
You got a lot of different things in here, man.
A lot of variety, a lot of variety. You know,
mussels, and you have different oysters.
This category is really expanded for us and for the food service. You know, we used to carry maybe 4 to 5 different kinds of oysters.
Right.
Now we'll carry 2 to 3 dozen varieties of oyster on a daily basis.
How many are local? How many products in here are local?
Our clams are local.
Okay.
The littles and middle neck clams. We have local oysters.
Right.
Everything else is more of a cold water, so it has to come from anywhere. North Carolina we have.
Okay.
We have Virginia, Chesapeake.
Right.
And then moving right up the coast into Canada.
Do you get any West Coast stuff come in? Do you fly anything like that?
Special order the West Coast.
Okay.
Right. And it just takes a lot of air time to get here.
Right.
So there's such a good variety of East Coast that we can truck in on a regular basis.
You don't necessarily need to go out there unless somebody really has a need for it.
Have a need for it, and we can special order West Coast.
So what's the difference between the local oysters and some of the other oysters that you see coming from other areas?
Well, we'll start with, first you have the wild oyster, and that could be either local, they can be farm raised, all right? The wild oyster literally is what it is. These guys will go out and they will pull it from the bottom of the creeks there. Okay. The farm product is something that they start from spat, little tiny, and they will grow them out to a certain size where they can handle the natural environment.
Right.
Then they will put them in cages. Many times they roll these cages and roll them, and what it does is it chips the oyster. Okay. And when the oyster continues to grow, it makes for a stronger shell, which is easier for the operator to use.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
And this process, although it varies from the north to the south as far as water temperature, the process is pretty much the same, whether it's coming from Canada or used down here. So
that's awesome. That's a lot of really cool information. What else do you got for us in here? Is there anything else that you guys do here?
Oh, we do it all. We do it all, Mark.
You want to take us out and show us some more stuff?
I sure will. We have fish to show you.
Fantastic. So where are you taking us now, Paul?
Well, Mark, what I'm going to show you next is something that we're very proud of here. It's a project that it's been a long time coming for us. As we continued to grow, we were outgrowing ourselves. Right. And so we needed space, and we needed cooler space in particular, and we needed freezer space really in particular. Okay. So the owners and the planners got together, and this is about a 2.5-year project. Okay. From the plans to actually where we could use it. And what I'm going to show you here is we're going to walk through a cooler first, right? And then I'll open some more doors and you'll see this new freezer that we built. We're not going to spend much time in there, are we? No. Okay. I appreciate that. That runs at -15. Yeah, we're not going to be in there long. All right, let's go in. All right, Mark, so now we're in this large new cooler, and this is some of the space we were talking about. We will put in here a lot of overflow inventory, overflow being something that we're not going to use for the very next day. Right. We'll have those in the regular coolers. But it still holds well in here. This is why you have this facility, to be able to hold and maintain the freshness and the quality of the product. Right. Temperature is key. Yes. With all seafood. Correct. And not just holding it, but holding it through all the transport. Keep it calm and cool. You go first. This is Chicago weather. There we are. So Mark, here we are in the main freezer. Dude, this stinks. Do you feel it? I don't like it. Let's get it out of here. All right. What do you got going on in here, man? What we got is all of the different varieties of frozen seafood that you can get from all over the world. Right. And we can stock them here. Everything from New Zealand green lip mussels, right? Okay, to even frozen local shrimp that we'll keep here. And what's really cool is the procedures that they got now for freezing the products. They almost, when you refresh them and thaw them out, you almost can't tell the difference between that and fresh. It's fantastic. It's amazing stuff. It really is. It's a lot of times there's boats that'll freeze it offshore. Right on the boat. Right. That's fun. So it's really never even known ice. Right. It'll go right to it. It is amazing. That's awesome. The guys that work back here, they look like the Michelin men. Yeah, with the big coats. Right. All right, well, let's get out of here. Let's go talk some fish. All right. All right. All right, Mark. All right, glad to be out of there. Where are we going next, Paul? So the next area I'm going to show you is the processing area. Okay. All right, this is where we actually take the fresh fish, that we brought in for that day, and we start breaking them down and processing them. And get them into the boxes and send them out to me. That is correct. So the first part of the processing is to store the whole fish, and these guys, the cutters, the managers will come in and they will pull the fish that's needed for that days or that evening. So you got fish either coming off the local boats here, or you have fish that you're buying from other places because we can't get all local product. Some of it's because there are species of fish that can't even be caught along our southeast coast. But a lot of the people, a lot of the chefs in Charleston area, though, they like to support local and they buy more local than they do. Absolutely. That's awesome. Absolutely. That's good to keep the local guys going. What do we got going on in here? So, like I said, just walking around the room here, we have things like whole salmon, and they'll be from different places like Scotland and Chile and Norwegian, right? And salmon, and then we use the fillets as well. Right. But I bought salmon from you in the past when it was running, when we had the actual king salmons, and the ivory king salmon you can't beat, man. It's such a beautiful fish. And it's nice and fatty. It is. That's what the people like in that. So right next to you here, we have some local fish. And these are what they call a beeline snapper. Yeah, it's very common. It's a smaller snapper, but they're delicious. Now, you know why they call them beeliners? Why is that? Because many years ago, they used to bring the fish in round baskets, like the peach baskets you see, okay? And the way they would put the fish inside is one by one, concentrically. Right. And they'd go outside, and then the next layer, the next layer. So they call it beeliner for basket liner. Oh, wow. How crazy is that? It's really a vermilion snapper. Right? Yeah. We have farmed rainbow trout from North Carolina. Wow. Okay? And North Carolina has several operations, okay? But it's really wonderful, very consistent,
Right.
mild fish, right?
Yeah.
It's very popular, okay? Of course, I have flounder in the corner.
Right.
I have flounder again here, very popular along the coast. All the
It
Southeast.
is. I know a couple restaurants that use a lot of the whole flounders when they're doing that.
Oh, that's right.
That's taken
You
off pretty
remember,
good.
right?
I do. I sure
Yes. We've done a lot of grading, and
Yes.
can I mention that now?
1 pound, headed and gutted, scaled. We want them for the fryer.
As many as we can get.
That's right.
Yeah. Behind you here, you have some golden tile. You can catch the fish only at certain times of the year.
Correct.
And what they're trying to do is maintain the stock.
And also, yeah, when they're doing that too, they put limits on the amount of some fish you can catch too, so we're not overfishing the population.
During that time, that's
Yeah,
correct.
Right.
So they don't want you to fish while they're breeding. They don't want you to overfish.
Right.
So, making all the right moves. It is challenging.
I see a tail sticking out. That looks like a grouper over there.
That's right. You guessed.
That's a big grouper right there, buddy.
We call those freight trains when they get really big.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because that's what it feels like.
They're hard to pull up. I've gone
Yeah.
fishing for them. They're awesome fish to catch, but man, one that size, I couldn't imagine bringing that up the bottom.
Your arms are late when you get done. It's
What else
a
we got?
wonderful eating fish. Oh, let me see. We have Almacos, part of the jack family. Okay? Now I have to tell you, many years, not even that long ago, a few years ago, a decade or so, this was it's a bycatch fish.
Right.
Okay, it's very common, caught on the reefs with the same other snappers and the gag groupers.
Right.
But people didn't recognize its food value. So many times they would throw them back overboard, right?
Or if you did get them in here, it was probably a very inexpensive fish for us to purchase.
Correct.
Right.
Right. But wasn't very popular.
Right.
It's much more popular now. All right, Mark.
All right, so we got gloves on now because we're actually going to be able to touch the fish again.
This is the processing area exactly. This is where all the hard work gets done.
Okay. Well,
All right.
what do you got for us today?
Well, you wanted to see a variety of fish, so what we brought out for you here is we're going to start at this side here. All right. This is a very common fish that you see all over the Southeast, called a redfish or a red drum.
Okay.
Okay.
Or spot-tailed bass.
Or a spot-tailed
It
bass.
has 3 names.
Or a channel bass.
Oh, there you go. It's 4
Right?
names.
Like a lot of fish, they have
Right.
many names that they go by.
Okay.
Wonderful eating fish.
And this is a wild-caught fish, or is this a farm-raised?
This is wild.
Okay.
They can also be farmed.
All right.
As a matter of fact, I carry both because I can't get the wild all the time, so I have to rely on the consistency of the supply.
Well, they do
of
have
farm.
limits on these too. There's size limits, so you can only catch so many.
That's correct.
Right.
Absolutely. Very, very restricted.
It's a beautiful fish. What else you got going on here?
This is the fillet from it, so this is the typical size. Okay? What you just put your hands on there,
This is gold.
that's fresh crab meat.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And this is jumbo lump crab meat, so that's individual big nuggets.
It is. That is considered the top of the food chain with the crab meat.
Can I take that with me?
Yes.
I'll pay you for it. What do we got going on here then?
All right. Next to it is some New England mussels. Okay.
Okay.
Very, very popular on. You'll see in a lot of menus.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And of course, they've been around a long time.
Right,
so
right.
I see more different recipes on mussels than I see on any other.
I've served many of them, and I got some ideas rolling when I take these with me too.
You got some ideas?
What are we
That
looking
could
at
be
here?
trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, earlier we were looking at some groupers.
Right.
And you grabbed one and pulled one out.
I picked up a big boy.
This is a grouper. It's a cousin to the one that you pulled out.
Okay.
That was a gag grouper.
Right.
This is a scamp.
The scamp grouper.
That's right.
And this is a very highly prized fish too, as far as the grouper family.
yes.
Because these guys right here, I happen to know every time you get them, they're melt in your mouth, tender and delicious.
Very white, flaky meat.
Right.
Yes. Very popular. This is a high grade tuna. We call it a #1 grade. Okay. And the reason it's graded as such is they're looking for color.
Right.
Okay.
This is the quality that we used when I was in restaurants here in Charleston area, and anything less than that, we sent back, and then you growled at us, but you knew what we wanted.
Yes. Yes. You were
We had
tough.
to have #1.
You were tough. But this is what the customers and the restaurants will want when they want to serve rare fish.
Right.
Okay? You can do that with with this grade of tuna.
Right, right. Well, perfect. Well, Paul, thanks a lot for showing us around. I appreciate all your time
Mark,
and all your knowledge in my career, man. You've helped me a lot tremendously, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here.
Okay.
So we're back in the kitchen studio, man. That was a really cool day with Paul Philo out at Lowcountry Shellfish. He turned us on to so many different things that, you know, even I didn't know about. He's got so many different varieties of things out there. We've got this beautiful scamp grouper that we're going to prepare for you today. We're going to do that over some cheese grits. The cheese grits are going to have jalapeno, cheddar cheese, and sweet corn in them. And then we're going to make a barbecue sauce to go over. Then we're going to glaze the grouper with that, put it right over those grits. It's going to be fantastic. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the grits. We've got Anson Mills white grits. Okay, these are stone ground grits. We're going to put these into the pot. You want to use about a 3-to-1 ratio of liquid to the grits. So we're going to start out with 1 cup of grits. We're going to put in 2 cups of water. There it is, 2 cups of water. And then we're going to put in 1 cup of heavy cream. So these are going to continue cooking here. We're going to bring them up to a simmer. We're going to keep stirring them so they don't stick to the bottom. They shouldn't stick. If you get them, bring them up to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and just let it go, stirring occasionally to keep them from sticking to the bottom until all the liquid is absorbed into the grits and they're nice and tender. So we're going to let these finish up, and then we'll get on with the rest of it. Okay, so we've got the grits. They're still cooking down here. They got to continue to cook for a little bit longer before they're actually done. While we're waiting on those to finish cooking, we're going to go ahead and make the barbecue sauce for the grouper. So in a skillet here, we're going to start off with about 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. We've got some apple cider vinegar. We've got a 1/2 cup of that. We've got some honey. This is about 1/3 of a cup of honey. We've got some molasses. Okay, you got about 1/4 cup of molasses in here. This is some ground mustard. We've got some paprika and a little bit of smoked paprika in with it. A little pinch of ground cloves. Not too much. We've got some ketchup. This is a 1/2 cup of ketchup. And then we've got a little steak seasoning. This has the onions and the garlic and everything in the steak seasoning, a little pepper. It gives us a little bit of flavor to it, as well as it gives us some texture. It's not going to be a real smooth barbecue at that point. It's going to have those little granular pieces of the onion and the pepper in there, and we're going to glaze that right over the top of the grouper once we sear that in the skillet here. So this is just going to go ahead and we're going to saute this for a little bit, just until it all dissolves together, and then it'll be done. We'll take it right off. Okay, while this is cooking here a little bit, I'm going to clean up the countertop a little. We'll stir these grits up. Alrighty, now we're back. We're going to go do the barbecue sauce is just about ready. Everything's just about dissolved. It's getting nice and warm. We can reduce it down a little bit while we're processing the fish. So right now we're going to go ahead and we're going to saute the vegetables that we're going to put into the grits. So the grits are still cooking down. They're almost ready over here. So while we're waiting on that, we're going to stir up the sauce a little bit here. Now it's going to heat up. We're going to reduce it down a little bit. It's a little thin, but it's nice. We don't want a real thick, gluey on this grouper. The grouper's so delicate. We don't want to really mask the flavor of the grouper. We just want to enhance it with a little bit of this glaze. So while we're going to wait for these grits to finish cooking, we're going to go ahead and saute some of these ingredients that are going to go in it. The jalapenos, the fresh sweet corn, and a little bit of sweet onion. So we're going to start with a little bit of butter in the skillet. Okay, we'll go ahead and add our onions to it. We'll go ahead and saute those up a little bit. And I want to keep the texture of these in the grits too. I want something a little bit crunchy in those nice, smooth, creamy grits. Okay, so we're going to add the little jalapeno in here now. I think that's going to be enough right there. And some fresh sweet corn. And we're going to saute these up. Adding a little salt and pepper. We want to season these up pretty good. Same with the grits. We're going to go ahead and add a little salt and pepper to them now. Stir that in, let those continue cooking down. So after we saute the corn and peppers, we're going to put that right into the grits. It's going to give it a lot of texture to it. It's going to be a delicious base for the grouper that we're going to glaze with this barbecue sauce. All right, the corn and peppers and onions are all sauteed up real nice like now. The grits are just about finished here, so it's a good time to put those in there so they can continue finishing to cook, and all this will steep down into the grits, the flavors of the corn and the peppers. And then we're going to grate some fresh cheese for this too. We've got an extra sharp cheddar cheese. We're going to grate that and fold it right into the grits. Look at that. And those will continue to tighten up as they cook a little bit longer. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and shred the cheese to put in there. So we've got an extra sharp cheddar. We'll put probably about a cup of this into it. It'll give it a nice tangy flavor going on with the sweetness of the corn and then the spice of the pepper. We'll put that right on in there and we'll just fold that in. Look at that. That's going to be some good eating right there. Once that cheese melts down in there, that barbecue grouper on top, nothing but delicious. So now we've got our barbecue sauce. It's come to a simmer now. The grits are sitting holding. They're done. We're going to process some fish now. We've got this beautiful scamp grouper. There's several different varieties of grouper. This one is a local fish. It comes out of South Carolina waters. It is 100% tender every time. It's an amazing piece of fish. You can tell by the color on it. Paul has picked out one of the most amazing pieces of grouper I've had in a long time. So we're just going to go ahead and take the skin, remove the skin off of it. Okay? And there is some bones in it that we're going to go ahead and pull those out. So we're just going to keep cutting side to side and pulling the skin back and forth and let the knife slide through it and get that skin right on off of there. Okay? That comes out. We'll go ahead, and there's some bones right in through the center here. Very simple to remove. You're just going to follow the bone line here. Take your knife, slide it right down through. Okay? And then go to the other side, same thing. Pull that out, lift up, cut a little V, it comes right out. All the bones are gone. Now we can go ahead and portion our fish. So I'm going to cut one from the tail piece. We'll cut this straight through here. We got another nice piece right here. We can fold that. We'll take this nice piece right here, and we're going to go ahead and salt, pepper, and sear this. So we're going to put a little bit of sea salt on there, a little cracked pepper. We'll do this one as well with it. Okay, and now we're ready to go to the skillet. All right, so we've preheated the skillet with a little bit of vegetable oil in there, and we're just going to put this right on down into that oil. We're going to sear this grouper nice and neat. And then after that, we're going to put this right into the oven to finish cooking the grouper. We're going to put a little glaze of the barbecue sauce on it right before it hits the oven. We're going to be looking good here very shortly. All right, you hear that nice searing sound on the fish over here. So it's about ready to go. You can see the edges of it are starting to turn brown a little bit. We're going to go ahead and slide the fish spatula underneath there. Look at that, beautiful, nice crispy sear on that. And then we can take the barbecue glaze. We're going to take a little bit of this. It doesn't take much. You're going to spoon it right over the top. Look at that. Look at the shine on that. And we're going to put this right into the oven and let that finish cooking in the oven. And when this comes out of the oven, we're going to put it right over the grits, and you're going to have the best Lowcountry barbecue fish and grits you've ever had. So we're going to go check on the grouper now. It should be pretty close to being done in the oven here. Wow, look at that. So it's starting to see how it's just starting to firm up a little bit. And you'll see like a little milky substance coming out of there when it's ready to go. So we're going to let it ride a little bit longer so that finishes cooking. We'll be ready to plate it in just a moment. Grits are ready to go. The grouper's about finished in the oven. We'll go ahead and start plating a little bit of this. Nice creamy grits. A little spice from the jalapeno. A little creaminess from the cheddar and the cream. A little crunch from the corn. The grouper looks fantastic coming out of the oven here. See how it's starting to pull away from itself a little bit in the seams there? It's ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and take this piece right here, lay that right on top of the grits, take a few snip chives on there, and there we have Lowcountry barbecue fish and grits. Enjoy.